Hi, my lovely church boys. St. Robert's Daygame Pickup Podcast episode number 3. And today I have an amazing guest. If you watched Tom Torero's documentary Hustle On, then there was this guy who used to live in the van. His name was Brice, and he's today's guest. He is in game for many years, and he has went from living a van life to now living in his apartment in Manhattan. So it's quite a change. Definitely helped his game. And he's been in game for many years, and I asked him to share his toughest moments. And his toughest moment was when he had a period of 6 months where he kept going out but couldn't approach girls. And he shares what were the things he did to keep himself motivated and dedicated, and what other guys can do in similar situations. He speaks both about his good and bad van stories, how he pulled girls there, and also some negative reactions girls had once they saw it. If you are in our Telegram group chat, Daygame Church, where most of the action happens, then you probably noticed that some of the members next to their name have a small caption saying deacon. And I introduced a new thing, because we have a lot of guys who give advice but aren't necessarily getting laid. And I wanted to make sure that guys know whose advice to listen to more and whose to take with a grain of salt. And I explored how this happens in church. And in church they have 3 levels of members, I think, not the members, but whatever. So it's deacon, it's bishop, and it's priest. And now in our group chat we have 2 guys who I've assigned deacon level. So if you see that, you really know that if they say something, they know what they're talking about. And Brice is one of the deacon guys. So if he says something to you in chat, he really knows what he's talking about. And we had an amazing conversation. It turned out better than I expected. Apart from that, what's going on now? Well, I'm in Serbia now, where I will be until November, and we have many guys here. We have Mr. V from Belgium that you probably read some reports in my blog from him. We have Mr. K. Mr. K is the guy I coached in Prague who got the same delay on day 2. He's here for some more day game and some more coaching. We have Mr. M from Germany. We have, in a few days, Frank is coming. You definitely know Frank from our group chat and from previous podcasts, and his stories on my blog. And the last one to come will be Mr. T. If you probably listened to my podcast episode with Mr. T about Black Guy Day Game in New York. And he's also he's the second guy who is deacon level in our group chat. So it's a great group of guys. So far we've been having a really good time. When I arrived here, I was just stunned by the hotness of girls here. It's like I had to really force myself to approach here. It's so hot that it's kind of unbelievable. Strangely enough, there are quite many day gamers in this city, both the guys that came with me and some other ones, and there are some boot camps happening this weekend, and there was a boot camp last weekend. So it's like this city definitely has seen a lot of day game, but it's a great city for game. And 2 more important things. I have a new video series coming up where I will explain 3 phases of learning day game and what to focus on during each phase. Because it's very different for beginners to guys who are already going out, and to guys that are already good but aren't going out consistently. They should focus on very different things, and I will go over that in a video series that's coming out very soon. So make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, or like it will be posted in the group chat as well and in the mailing list as well. And the last announcement I want to make, and this is a big one, I will go to a warm place in November after I'm done here, because I'm staying here for 1 month. We're going with Mr. T to a warm place, somewhere where there are hot locals, and that's a popular destination for exchange students, so you get both hot locals and foreigners, which is always good for day game. But since there are so many day gamers in this city, I want to avoid that in the next destination I go to. So the location where I go to will be secret. I don't want to overgame the city. But I will take 3 guys there with me to day game together. And if you want to know more about it, make sure you are subscribed to my mailing list, because I will send out more info to the mailing list. Or if you are in our day game church group chat, there will be some information available there as well. So without any further ado, as this has been already pretty long, let's get down to my conversation with Brice. Skype tells me avoid legal snacks by telling people they're being recorded. So what are you up to? You're in New York?
Yeah, so in New York, just walking around near the park right now, and yeah, just enjoying the day.
Nice. We are sitting in Antwerp. Next to me is Mr. V, but he doesn't hear me. And
Okay.
we were eating a lunch, and we are watching some street chickens, also known as pigeons, fighting over bread.
Oh, very nice. Sounds like good
entertainment. You are fine with using your name, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, we will skip the surname, of course, because I thought about it, because you went public on the Tom Torero's documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, guys, so to those of you who don't know who Brice is the guy from Tom Torero's documentary. Do you remember how the documentary was called?
Hustle On.
Hustle On, yeah, Hustle On, the documentary. So Brice was the guy who was living in the van and supposedly banging chicks in that van. We will get to that. We will get to those chicks in the van stories. So you've been, what's your story? How long have you been in day game? And yeah.
Okay, so well, I started indirect probably in my mid-20s. So I don't know if I call that really day game, but I guess so. So probably mid-20s. So probably at least like 7 years or so.
Okay. Wait, and how old are you now?
I'm 33.
33. You're 2 years older than I am.
Yes.
So you started years ago indirect, but what I really am always interested in, why did you decide to start the day game? How did you discover it, or what was the trigger, or how did you get into it? What's the story?
Okay. Well, so basically when I was younger, I basically wasn't very good with girls, blah blah blah, the whole story. I basically searched on the internet, and I found like David D'Angelo. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah, he had that book about the types.
Yeah, like the.
I started with that as well. Actually, I used to run dates based on his models.
Yeah, it's basically like cocky funny and all that stuff, and eventually I found like RSD, found daygame.com, and it was just a natural thing for me to kind of go towards day game. I enjoyed it more than night game, and I lived in a small town at the time in Ravenna, Ohio, a really small town. So my only option was basically just going to the campuses and approaching on campuses. And so that's basically what I started doing. I started doing it between semesters. And that's basically how I got started.
So you were approaching on campuses. How old were you back then when you really started doing it in campuses?
Probably started around 24, but I didn't really get serious till like 24 or so.
Yeah, so you were pretty much just a few years older than the people who studied there, maybe. So it was pretty okay. You weren't like a 40-year-old dude on the college campus.
No.
Okay, how was the beginning? How did it? Were you one of the guys who just because there are several types of guys, and I basically like to look at it in two categories. There are guys that start day game and they become good really fast,
Hmm.
and there are guys that have to put in years and thousands of maybe not thousands, but like 1,500 approaches before they get results. What was your experience?
It was definitely took me a long time to get used to it. Yeah, I definitely wasn't someone who started out and got good. It took me, like, basically my story is just the story of perseverance. I was that guy that's like, oh, don't be that guy that takes like, half your life to get good. That was basically me. And unfortunately, because I started off from the very bottom, AA, one approach every like day or something like that, and then just like over time, just building up and finding my own rhythm and stuff like that, and just yeah, that's basically how it started.
So you started out slowly, one approach a day, which is already pretty good if you were going out every day. This is amazing. That's some good shit. I don't know what was your experience with your first set, but for me, I went out one day. I found daygame.com. I decided I'll go out, try one approach. And I walked around for 2 hours and I didn't do a single approach. I went out next day. And the same thing happened again for 2 weeks until I did my first approach. What was your story? Could you, when you decided, okay, I'll do this, I'll go out, could you do an approach right away, or was there like a
Honestly, it's been so long. It's like a blur to me. But I remember like my first approach. It was like indirect, and I don't know. I think I was listening to David D'Angelo at the time. I was probably like 19, and I went to a mall, and I went inside, and there was a store clerk, and I basically just said something about the clothes. I just said something about the clothes, and I was just really nervous. Didn't close, and that was like my first experience. So it wasn't that grand or anything. But like on campus, I kind of found my own rhythm. I would basically ask indirect where um, a place is, and they would point, and I'd walk with them and just do like indirect conversation, grab a number, and that actually worked. But I didn't really realize why it worked. A lot of it was that like I lived near the campus, so I would like date them on campus. And then I would basically say, hey, I live 5 minutes away, blah, blah, blah. I would seed without even knowing, what that meant. And it worked out a lot. And it wasn't until like I moved later to Chicago, to New York, I really understood like the importance of logistics. Because like I said, I lived in a van, and those logistics were shit. I mean, I can go anywhere, but it wasn't inside Manhattan. It's hard to park inside Manhattan. So yeah.
so what was the how was the van working? Did you, how many notches in the van?
Mm, hmm. Probably like 15 or so.
Well, that's pretty okay, unless
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
over 5 years.
It was. I lived in it for like 2 years.
Also,
So
15 in 2 years for a beginner day gamer, that's pretty okay. That's not bad.
yeah. Well, I had experience at that point, but like I said, I was having a lot of issues with date threes and stuff like that. Like I couldn't get date threes like to save my life, and I couldn't figure it out because in Ohio I didn't have a problem with that. But as soon as I moved to like New York, I had like literally I had like 40 something dates with just like a few day twos. So most of my lays were like from the day. Well, I had like a 42 day twos with like 2 day threes. So most of my lays were on the first date.
You said you had 42 day twos, which is like first date. To those of you who don't know the old school terminology. So and day three was like date second dates. So you are a geeky stats guy, just like I am.
Oh yeah, I got like a spreadsheet and keep all those stats. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's cool. Listen, so let's talk stats a little bit.
Oh god, here we go. It's all good. Let's go.
You've been doing game for shitload of years. How many sets do you have total?
Well, since being in New York, I've been here for a little over 2.5 years. Um, it's definitely been over 2,000 approaches in New York alone.
Oh,
And
that's
then
okay.
in Chicago, I was there for a couple years. Um, I would say probably 500 or more in Chicago.
Hmm.
And then in Ohio, I can't even tell you. I did indirect for a long time, so probably maybe like 1,000 indirect in Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. And have you noticed how your stats or success changed over the years? Have you paid attention to that? Was it like a
Um,
gradual, slow process, or was there like a shitty, boom, it's good?
I was more like a gradual process. It was like a heartbeat monitor. It was like good, bad, and a lot of the reasons, like I said, it was logistics. It was those kind of things that I didn't understand at the time. My approaches and stuff like that have been pretty decent for a while. It was just the dating aspect that I had a trouble with. So like in Ohio, I started off pretty decent. I just wasn't getting a lot of approaches in. It got to a point where I was going out. I was getting like in 2 hours between classes, I get like 10 numbers, and then like I would have like a couple dates a week or whatever. But my goal was never to really like have sex on the first date or anything like that. I always tried to go for like a day three model. And so I wasn't very aggressive. I wasn't always pushing for sex. It was more like, see if this girl likes me. It was just testing it out. And then, I moved to Chicago. And in Chicago, that's when I really started direct. And it was like starting all over again, and I was like my late 20s in Chicago because I went from indirect to direct. So it was basically starting from scratch. I had huge AA.
Yeah.
I couldn't approach. When I did approach, it was shit. You know what I'm saying? And I worked my way up to get like a date a week, and everyone else was doing the RSD thing, doing night game, and I was just out there doing day game. And yeah, so that was that story, and just slight. And so it started off okay, and I didn't realize it was on a good trajectory at first, and then it went down when I went to Chicago. Then New York happened, man, and this is what it was like a
Okay, can
nightmare
we
here.
can we can we like put a little pin in this and come back to this later? I want to talk about
Yeah.
Chicago a little bit and the way you started doing direct, because what I noticed you just said is that everyone was doing RSD stuff and you were doing day game. So does
hmm
that mean that you did it alone, and or did you have wings on? What's the story with that?
I had wings, but I was posting on the RSD forums for forever, and it's a shame they took it down. I'll answer your question here, but it was a shame they took it down because I had like nearly 10 years of like fucking reports like on there. It showed my whole story from Ohio to Chicago to New York, everything. But they took it down, and I can't even find it now. It sucks. But no, there was some day gamers out there. Most of them that I knew did the night game stuff because I found them through the RSD forum. So, it was mostly night game stuff. But yeah, I had a few wings at day game, but most of them weren't that experienced or anything.
Okay, so when you started out, I got it right? So you moved to Chicago, and that's when you started doing direct day game.
Yeah, like seriously, yeah.
Okay, and you struggled in the beginning, and then you got up to. Sorry, man. Hey,
Oh,
Mr.
no,
V, Mr. V, check that. No, there's a real chicken. No, we were laughing about pigeons when we were sitting here, but now I see a real chicken in the center of Antwerp digging ground. It's unbelievable.
oh wow.
That's hilarious. It's a lovely city. So, what I wanted to understand, because a lot of guys they start day gaming and direct. So that's what you did in Chicago, right?
hmm
And what helped you to get from struggling to a level where you could not only get your first dates but get to a 1 date a week?
Um, it was just basically it was building up my approaches. It was at the time maybe I didn't realize, but it was just getting in those repetitions to kind of build my vibe, to build my presence in the set, and it was just doing it over and over and over, repetition, and just desensitizing myself. And like I said, building that vibe. I would probably say just doing a
If
lot of approaches.
if you had to guess, because I suppose it's hard to remember because it was a few years back.
Yeah.
If you had to guess how many approaches you had to put in and until you were starting to get 1 date a week.
Who?
That's just a rough guess is fine, dude. Don't sweat it.
Okay, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a few hundred, maybe 400, something like that.
Okay, that's pretty okay. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. That's pretty good. That's pretty fast actually, to be honest. And
Okay.
what was your experience? Because I believe that guys should go out as often as possible and not miss more than 1 day of day game. What was your experience in this question? Did you see that going out more regular gave you better results, or it wasn't that important for you in your case?
Man, it's like a combination. It's kind of like, I look at like pickup a lot, like working out, to where, okay, so you can work out every day, right? But eventually you do it too much, it's not good for you. Same thing with day game. It's good to go out a lot, but you don't want to go out like too, at least in my case, because I get very apathetic. I care less, I'm not really into it. You know what I mean? And when I'm not into it, I'm not charismatic, and my sets go down. So for me, I like to do around 4 to 5 like a week. That's like a good thing for me.
I agree with you for 100% on this, dude. 4 or 5 is really, really awesome. 7 is too much. A lot of us and some guys, they just go out in day game, like seriously, as you said, too much and get apathetic. What did you do when you didn't go out? What was your life like when you didn't go out? Did you have any other hobbies or any other stuff you did or anything like that? Or
well, I'm pretty like introverted. I like doing a lot of my things alone. I would like work out and basically I just been obsessed with day game for like the longest time, and I would just watch videos on day game. I would watch, I was just obsessed about game. I'm still obsessed about it. And so yeah, I would just basically work out, explore the city. My social life, it's whatever. It's not anything epic or anything like that.
okay, you said you were exploring day game, learning all the time, and then I heard something amazing from you. This is the reason I went traveling, so maybe you can actually help, not the other listeners but me. How the fuck are you still so excited about game, like 7 or how many years in? Because I left Riga because I got fucking bored. I mean, I saw girls I've approached every day. I just was so bored. I couldn't bother to approach. And that's why I went traveling. And I go to a new city and girls are a bit different. And it immediately seems they're really hot. So I'm again fired up to approach. So I was very, like, I was like put on a, I don't know, I was like surprised when you said you were still really excited about the game. So how does that work? How do you manage that?
Yeah, because basically, I never, I tried so long. Like I said, I was that guy that took a long time to kind of figure it out and get better and stuff like that. And so it was always just like, how can I get better? It was like always. It's like, and if I failed, it just ate at me. Like I would sit at home, write notes, like look up YouTube, and just like it just ate at me, dude. Like I had to. If I didn't go out, I got depressed. Like, and and I look at it now, it's like without day game, it's like, what else are you gonna do? This is like the best. This is the best thing I've ever experienced in my life as far as like meeting the kind of women that you want to meet. It's Tinder is horrible. Like going on. I tried that recently because someone said they were getting like decent results or something, and I tried that. I must have like sent out like 200 messages, probably got like 2 responses back. It was just so bad. Here I can go out in a day and collect, like 5 numbers in 2 hours. You know what I mean? It's completely, and they're all hot girls. So
maybe you need a 6-pack like Mr. T.
Exactly.
Yes, he posts his 6-pack on Instagram all the time.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
No, but it's amazing the work he has put in. That's really cool. I have huge respect for him because of that.
Yeah, man. Like I just, even like if I didn't talk to you or I didn't get to know like the community, I would still be out because it's just, this is something, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't want to say destiny. I would never say that, but like literally like it's just always on my mind. Always have to do it. It's like a calling of mine. It's, I guess you could say, a passion. It's something that I can't deny. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter how shit I was. There was a time for many years I'm just like, dude, like how the fuck these guys are getting like these results? I'll never get like that, and blah blah blah. And I literally, I gave up on day threes here in New York. Like I literally gave up because I couldn't figure it out. And it wasn't until I moved out of the van and moved into Manhattan, which was recently, that I realized the power of logistics. And I think the van kind of scared girls away. And I was approaching girls in Manhattan, trying to bring them back to Brooklyn, and that had like a big impact on it. And already, within a month, I got two girls like on rotation. I had like last month I had like 3 lays like within a month. Just like it was like 32 approaches per lay basically, and that like hugely increased. That like it was much better from doing the whole van route. And so yeah, it's weird. Like I thought I literally gave up because the girls would never see me. I tried everything on day twos, kisses, like escalating, everything, blah blah blah, every situation, and I couldn't figure it out. So yeah, it's just a journey, man.
What was the missing part of your second dates? That what was the thing that fixed it? Because I remember you said in this the smaller chat group that we have with the guys that are really active, you were like saying that fuck, my second dates are not working, what the fuck to do? And what did you change? What made it click? Because it wasn't just logistics. At that time, you were already living in Manhattan.
So when I joined the chat, it was right around when I moved here to Manhattan. Like I said, I was living in Brooklyn, but there was a couple things. It was logistics, and it was making sure not to cross the line of no return. Because when I had the van, and I had those experiences with never getting day threes, I always try to push for sex on the first date. So I would just burn the boats, and then so I started doing that with my first couple dates here in Manhattan, and I started not seeing them. And then I started easing back on the physical escalation and kind of fractionating, and I got more girls out, and yeah, that was another reason.
Okay, let's go, before we move to how life is really, really good and day game is amazing and pussy is so sweet and there is so much of it. Let me ask you a unpleasant question, which you can choose to answer or not. What's the, like, you probably had your lows where you did hundreds of sets and nothing happened, and you keep working and working and it's not getting better. And it's like a question where I'm more interested in the second part than the first part. Because a lot of guys have the shitty periods where everything is shit and you don't want a day game and like, fuck this. And what's the worst downer you had from day game? And more importantly, apart from what's the story, how long was it, how many sets or how many weeks or days or months? But what I really am interested in, what helped you during that downer?
Okay, so I've had most of my experiences with day game have been like a struggle because, like I said, I've been trying to find my way like this whole time. But the lowest point I would say I can remember was in Chicago. I didn't do approach for like 6 months, literally, and I went out like 3 or 4 times a week, and it's like surreal to me looking back. I didn't do one approach in 6 months, and I remember like on the train, I was waiting for the train to go back home. And I got on the train, I was looking out the window like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I couldn't even trust myself. It's like, you have this goal, you can't even do an approach, man. It's like, but it didn't matter. Like, I kept going. You know what I mean? So I would go home, think about what I was going to do, tell myself the next session, start small, build it up. And it was just this momentum that kept going. And yeah, so that was probably a really, really low point. Couldn't do one approach in like 6 months. It was insane.
Okay, this is impressive. The impressive part is that you kept going out. That is impressive. That's the dedication. or like, I don't know. It's like I cannot even describe how I feel about it. It's like it's either dedication or like,
Hmm.
oh, what else am I gonna do? Fuck the gym. It's too much time. Like, it's enough gym. Let's go out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely both, man. Like, this is just something I'm just dedicated to, like, no matter what. Like, even if my results are shit, I'm still gonna go out. But at this point, things have changed where it's not every approach I'm doubting. If I did something right or wrong. I kind of know if I did something right or wrong now, and I know, like, if I keep going out, I'm gonna build that vibe, I'm gonna build that momentum, build that confidence, and things are gonna come through it, and the way I talk, my body language, and stuff like that. Before, it could have been like my vibe, and I thought it was my approach, and it was just very, very complicated at that time.
And what at that point was the magic pill that helped to kick you out of that space you were in?
Man, it was just, honestly, I give a lot of credit for, like, guys like you, guys like, Tom Torero, just people that these coaches or whatever, they're putting out the content, seeing what's capable, what I can do by looking at them, and just always trying to strive to get to that level. And just, hey, man, like, not getting laid, not getting, like, the kind of girls I want. It's like a huge drive of, humans, man, like, get laid, right? So it's a huge drive. It doesn't matter if I saw those YouTube channels or not, I would still be obsessed with this. But the thing that really got me going is to see where I can get to, so like Tom Torero, and getting really inspired by those guys, basically.
Okay, so inspirational stories. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you, with the knowledge you have now, if you saw someone similar to you in a situation where you were in the beginning of those 6 months, let's say you went out for a week and you didn't do a single approach. If you saw someone in that situation, really, really struggling, starting the 6-month-long struggle, what advice would you give to that person 1 week into that shitty period?
1 week. Well, I always want to know kind of like what they're doing. I want to know, like, how many approaches they're doing, kind of where they're giving up. Because some people think like 10 approaches a week is a lot. They just don't know, like, the numbers that you have to do. So first I would want to find out, kind of how many approaches he's doing, and what kind of results he's getting from that. And then I would kind of figure out where to go from there. But if he's having struggle, I would just say, hey, man, like, just keep going. I would point him to, like, the correct kind of material to look at. And yeah, I would say focus on the little successes. You might get like 10 approaches in that day, and one girl, it may be a good response. It's like, okay, well, look at that, man. It's like, what in that inspired you? What what about that was awesome? And then I just say, just keep building on that. And yeah, man, and just get inspired by all the content out there, and just keep going, putting in a lot of approaches. If you have any questions, just look at the material. Yeah, so basically that, I guess.
If you heard this advice that you just gave 1 month into your shitty period, how would that change those 6 months? Would you be back on the streets sooner? Not back on the streets, but really approaching sooner.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. If someone told me, like, hey, man, you're only doing 10 sets, like, that's not shit. Like, I can, like, people will do like 20 sets a day, and it's like, or you hear some of these guys, like this guy, I forgot his name, like Squatting Casanova. His name's Mike. He does like a lot of night game stuff. He's a YouTuber. He was talking about how he used to do like fucking, I can't remember, like 500 sets, like within like a really short amount of time. I'm just like, holy crap! Like, these guys are putting in serious work, and it's like 10 approaches. So yeah, that would definitely motivate me to like step up my game and just see what's possible. It's like, if they told me I have to do this much, then let's see what I can achieve within that, and just to see what I can get, basically.
Okay, so it's find material that inspires you, focus on the positive, and keep doing your stuff one small step at a time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, So that was the low when you got out of it, and now life is good. Life is good
Yeah,
and everything amazing. How is it like now? What's the what does day game look to you right now? You are at 1 out of 30 something, which is really, really amazing. Even especially in a place like New York, where I assume day game is harder than some places in Europe.
mhm.
So,
Um, yeah, I mean, life's good, man. It's just like it's like you learn something, right? And then you kind of have that skill now, and you just take it with you. You know, it's like I don't know, like I don't feel too much different. You know, it's always that journey to learn something and just to put it in your pocket. You know, but uh, to to have the experience to go out and actually like approach girls and get the kind of girls that you want and stuff like that, things become normalized. You know, it's great. You know, hey, you get laid and shit like that, but you know, things do get normalized. Like people think, you know, at first it's like you're over the moon that you finally got there and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that's like my honest opinion. You know, life's cool and everything, but things get normalized.
yeah. So, did I get it right? What you just told that it doesn't really like the fact that you got more successful in game didn't really change much your life or how you feel about life. It's still a journey. You're still enjoying the process, and the getting good at it and getting laid wasn't like the
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
this is interesting. I love hearing this.
yeah, man. It's like I don't know, like it's like when you don't have something, you want it very, very bad, and you become obsessed about it. And you know, it's like with girls, you know, it's like if you don't have any girls, you become obsessed with it, you know. And when you do get it, you do have it. It's cool. You get that high for a while, but then it becomes part of your. It just becomes like part of your life a little bit. You know, it's you know, if you were to have that high like all the time, I don't. It like a new experience. It brings you that high, but yeah, like basically things get normalized, and you know, you can focus on other things of your life, and it's just a skill that you have now. You know, it's that confidence. You know, it's that you know that you can go out and do this and achieve this. But yeah, man, it's still like a journey, man. That's like the whole thing. You know, I'm still learning things. You know, I'll never stop learning things, and I learn most from beginners. You know, like I always feel like I have a lot to say when like guys on the chat, the day game church chat that you have,
Yeah,
yeah, when they post something and you see like their mistakes and you're like, wow, I actually have a lot to say because you know you think maybe you don't have a lot to say and then you see their mistakes and you're like, holy shit, like I've been there, like wow, I have learned a lot, you know, like so
yeah,
I
because
learn a
your
lot.
your advice is very good on the chat.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, like on the chat I'm very vocal and stuff like that, and it's just my comfort zone. And just to let everyone know, like I said, my story is perseverance. I'm as you can tell, I'm a little introverted, you know, I'm a little shy, whatever, but it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like that's my real fucking point here, man. Like it doesn't matter. Like how bad do you fucking want something? You know what I mean? Like what are you gonna go through? You know what I'm saying? Like I had $42,000 in debt out of school, right? Um,
Yeah,
I had um, I had no money, you know, minimum wage, $42,000 in debt. Didn't fucking graduate college. Had no chance of moving to a city to practice this shit. I waited 3 months every semester to fucking approach girls, and then I finally said fuck it, built a fucking van, moved in a van for 2 years just to do fucking day game. Like, how much do you want it? You know what I mean? Like, I was scared, man. Like, I'm nervous to talk on a podcast. I'm fucking still nervous to talk to girls. But how bad do you fucking want it? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do to do it? You know, guys go for a week and then fucking give up. Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta, like, the shit I feel right now, the shit I feel every day, dude, that's life, you know, that's going to teach you a lot. You know, when you feel those things and you just keep going and you learn from it and you build upon it, that's what it's all about, man. And that's kind of what day game has like taught me. And like my story's not like I don't really want to focus on my successes as much as I do about the struggle, you know, how you're gonna achieve that, get where you want to be. So yeah, that's basically my main thing I wanted to say.
Okay, but I wanna talk a bit about your successes. So
No
that when
problem.
guys who are introverted and sometimes feel like, oh fuck, nothing's going my way, and life's not really helping me, and everything is shit, so that they hear that what helped you was finding really inspiring things that guys to follow, and putting in your work one small step at a time and focusing on the positive. But let's motivate them. What does that bring? What is the future for them? What can the future be for them? So what are like the biggest, craziest like stories that you have from game? Because you must have plenty.
Yeah, it was just a lot of the experiences, like the first really hot girl you have, like it's just like, wow, I can't believe like that just fucking happened. Like you went from like being nervous on the street to like actually taking a girl, like a really hot girl, like back in your room on your bed, and you're like, dude, like, I can't believe that happened. That's always nice. Um, oh yeah, and the ones with like the boyfriends and stuff. Like you hear all this stuff about Tom Torero saying like he gets laid a lot with like girls that are married and stuff like that. And then when that actually happens, you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. You know, I remember I was at the gym, I was working out or whatever, and I was trying to get this girl out on a date, and she said something like, "Oh, well, I have a boyfriend" or something like that, and I just texted her back like, "Oh, well, I'm sure you know he won't mind me seducing you then," or something like that. And she responded back with "ha ha," and then she said, "What time you want to meet?" And I was just like, and that was the first time that happened. I was like, "What the fuck?" And I went with it, and yeah, it happened, and I was like, "Wow." So that was a very interesting experience. You know, the other experiences is just learning how much momentum means in dating. So, for instance, you know, I lived in a van, you know, for 2 years. The momentum of building that familiarity and your dates and stuff like that, and getting them from that to this venue and building that trust, and to take them in like a shitty ass van, you know what I mean? Like a real, I had like a 1994 Chevy G10. It was rusted out, fucking holes in it. You can see it on the documentary, and it actually looks better on the. It looks better on the documentary than it did in real life. And so it'd be at nighttime, and I'd take them like in a fucking like alley, and there was like my van parked there, right? And it had like rusted out holes and shit, and like they would get in because of the momentum of the on the date, right? And just like it's more than momentum, obviously. It's like they trusted me, everything like that. You know, I'm not like a weird guy like that. And just
Yeah,
those
you're
things,
just a
you know.
guy who talks to girls on the streets and lives in a van.
Basically, yeah, that's probably why I wasn't getting a lot of day threes. But yeah, it's you know, just those experiences were really eye opening. Some, banging girls in vans. I mean, what else, you know? a
How,
lot of experience.
what's the first van story, van pull, or is
First
there
van.
like a really good van pull, or like I don't know,
Mm,
or it's like you couldn't believe that it happened?
let me see. Probably they were all kind of the same, really, but like probably one of them, it was like this Asian girl, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna try. Because I used to always try, like, I was trying the day three model, so I would do like the day two, hoping I can build familiarity and shit like that, and then maybe like pull them to the van on a day three. And it was the first time I tried getting laid on the first date. I took them from Manhattan to Brooklyn. I did the 2 date venue thing, and I brought her back to the van. I'm just like, wow, like it's basically the same process outside of a van, like in an apartment, as it is in the van. And it's just like, well, this is weird. Like the process works. Um, yeah, it was just, from there, it's basically the same thing over and over, like with the van. So nothing too crazy, I guess, but just the fact that you're pulling them back to a van at like 11 o'clock at night, like in a fucking alley, is, I don't know, I guess that's pretty crazy.
It sounds like from girls' perspective, that sounds so crazy that they tell like, oh yeah, I went to this guy's van like Brooklyn 11 at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
guess they
man.
do tell those stories their friends.
I
Maybe.
guess.
I don't know whether
Yeah.
girls talk about it. It's like I
I mean,
fucked this guy in a van.
I mean, I've had like girls go to the van and be like, no, or like, they see it and they're like, I'm good. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, of course.
so it's expected. I guess I would think the same thing. You know.
It
So
really probably helps you to really grow balls, grow some thick
yeah,
skin.
yeah, man. Like you had no other choice.
Rejections.
I used to pull girls to, like hostels too. Like I used to get like a really cheap hostel for like $50 in Manhattan. And I'll just say it. The place is called New World Hotel, and it's like in Chinatown, and it cost like $50 a night. That was like the cheapest I could find, and the walls were like really thin. So like, and the rooms were like a closet, right? And it was just like they were known for bed bugs and everything like that. But I didn't want to go all out because I don't know if I'm never gonna see the girl, and just spend a lot of money to get laid is kind of ridiculous in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So I bring them back, and I remember like banging this girl, this really hot girl in there, and after it was done, she's like, oh, I got to use the restroom. She never fucking came back. I don't know if it just like threw her off or what. And then like 10 minutes later, like I heard like the neighbors like having sex or something like that. So I don't know if they were like motivated or what, but I don't know. It's a pretty funny story.
I love this story.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and any other stories you want to share with guys to either inspire them or show what day game is all really about, or anything else you really want to share with the guys and think that it would really help them?
Oh, man, I don't know, man. You just if you want to get what you want to get, you have to put in the work, and you can't give up. You got to keep going. Um, that's basically it. It's like, what do you want? You can achieve that, and that's the crazy part, right? Like I'm 33 now, and I'm getting more success than I did when I was in my mid 20s and early 20s, and it's possible, but you just have to put in the work and just keep going and get the right material, and you can achieve whatever you want to achieve as far as that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, so just imagine yourself with the kind of girls you want in your life, the experiences you want. If you don't have that, then there you go, man.
Okay. Do you have like a social media that you want guys to check out, or like a blog or something that you want to like I don't know, mention, or anything you want to
Uh,
put out there to the
well,
listeners?
yeah, I have like a WhatsApp group. It's just throwing out advice and stuff for the guys in the New York area. It's called NYC Wings.
Okay.
Um, it's a WhatsApp group, and yeah, I'll add you if you're in the New York area. We can go out and wing sometime, and
Yeah,
motivate each other.
I am planning that. Because I have a few guys in New York that really want me to go to New York and they want to get some coaching. But like
Hmm.
it's if it's just one guy, then it's just fucking expensive for him.
Right, right.
uh, okay. Um, any other last words you wanna tell fellow day gamers all around the world?
Um, no, hey man, that's about it. I think everyone should be motivated to everyone that's day gaming, doing game, everyone wants the same goal. It's girls, right? So that should be your motivation in itself. So I guess that would be my last words.
Well, thanks a lot for doing this. I think this is an amazing conversation we have. I was really looking forward to this because I saw you in the Hustle On documentary, and oh, I saw that you were giving out good advice. Even I
Hmm.
remember when you were still saying that, oh fuck, this doesn't work and this doesn't work. But I still saw that your advice was solid and you really knew your shit. You really knew what you were talking about. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's really amazing. So I was looking forward to this, and it has been great. I really loved your stories, and the thing I loved the most was your 6 months shitty story, and what helped you, and what advice would you give to yourself? Because there are a lot of guys in that spot, and your message basically was clear. It was shut the fuck up, know your goals, keep being inspired, and put in the work. Stop whining,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine doing anything in life where you just give up and you expect you're gonna get a result? Like, if you really want something, it's right there for you. Like the material, out today, like I know St. Robert, what he does is pretty much exactly what I follow. It's what I've been following on YouTube for a long time. And I can say like what he does is legit, like fucking legit. Take it from me, okay? Like it's legit, and you're gonna get the results. And for new guys, I highly recommend that you see the Day Game Church on Telegram. That's his group chat. There, you're gonna have a lot of guys with like experience. Like Robert, myself, Kev. They'll help you out. So it's a great resource, man. Don't spend the years I did looking at all this different material trying to find your way. You got the shortcut right there, so check it out.
Well, thanks a lot, dude, for doing this, and probably see you in New York or somewhere else.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Well, guys, as I told, he had some really interesting stories. His experience in game is he has big experience in game. He has seen some stuff, and it was very interesting for me to have this conversation. As I told before this podcast, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, because I have a video series coming out where I explain 3 phases of learning day game and what to focus on each phase, so that you get the best results. And also, as I told you before, I am going to a warm place in November where there will be both hot locals and a lot of exchange students. And it will be a secret location, but I will take 3 day gamers with me. So if you want to know more about it, make sure you are subscribed to the mailing list and you are in our Telegram group chat, Day Game Church.